So hi everyone, as Sue said, my name's Donna Gordon. I am the training coordinator here at IIRSM. I have been helping people with their fellowship applications for quite some time. So I'm presenting on this webinar today. I will kind of go through the application process and what it is that you need to fill in the application. And Hugh is here as the head of the fellowship assessment panel to support you with what the assessors are looking for as part of your fellowship application. So I'll just let Hugh introduce himself and then we will carry on with the presentation.
Thanks, Donna. It's my pleasure today to join you all. I'd like you to get as much out of this next hour as you can in terms of how to make the fellowship application process as personalised and as really user-friendly for you as possible. My name's Hugh Maxwell. I've been involved in risk and safety management for over 30 years now. I've been associated with IIRSM since the 1990s, having achieved my own fellowship actually in 2007. And for the past few years, as Donna was good enough to say, I've been able to support IIRSM in a number of ways as an ambassador, and in most recent years, having been part of the fellowship panel doing assessments. I was honoured when they asked me to actually fill in and follow on from Rosie Russell due to her work commitments and actually take the role of chairing the fellowship panel. So hopefully this will give you a big insight into what our expectations are and how I make the process as easy and user-friendly for you going forward. Thanks, Donna.
Lovely, thank you. So just to start off, so firstly, as a reminder, or to put everything into context for those who are not already members, I thought I'd start off with a bit about who we are. So IIRSM members are not only health and safety and environment people, nor are they simply experts in quality, sustainability or governance. Instead, they work in all of these fields at every single level. We support people from those just starting out in their careers to those already leading the way. And we believe having an inclusive and diverse community provides a much richer learning and networking opportunities. So IIRSM, we provide practical education, resources, sharing of experiences and network to help people and organisations identify and manage risks. To help them succeed in basically the many challenges that they face in the world of work. We believe all our members play a vital role in bringing integrated risk decision making to their organisation, helping to keep people safe, healthy and resilient. So we have 5 different levels of membership, from student membership, which is free to anyone studying a risk-related subject, through to fellowship, which is our highest and most prestigious membership level. So fellowship is a strategic level membership. So at fellow level, you combine strategic insight, risk expertise, business acumen, and put the well-being of your people at the forefront to drive both individual and organisational performance. So we have broadened, just in terms of membership, so we've broadened our routes to membership. So throughout all of the categories of membership, we've tried to make it easier for people to apply and to upgrade their membership. Suzanne is also on the webinar today as part of the membership team. So if you've got any kind of membership specific related questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat function, and Suzanne, myself or Hugh will be able to help you with those as well. So we recognise that we don't all have access to the same learning opportunities or take the same career paths. So what we've done is we've created a competence framework, competence-based routes to membership. So you can actually use the same competence framework that we're going to look at later to progress through the membership levels as well. So why apply for fellowship? So IIRSM fellowship reflects the expertise, competence and achievements for those responsible for managing risk at a senior level. It also recognises the major contributions they've made to their profession and how you've gone above and beyond and over in your day-to-day job and supporting of others. So fellowship, as I said, it is the pinnacle membership grade of IIRSM and validates your professional status and competence. Not only to yourself, but also to employees, to your colleagues, to your customers, and any clients and stakeholders. So as a fellow, you can access a network of peers to build contact and learn from. You can share experiences and challenges. You can take opportunities to raise your profile and showcase your experience. You can influence best practice through meaningful volunteering opportunities with IIRSM, and you get to use the IIRSM designatory letters after your name. So as part of being a fellow, we ask you to commit to supporting IIRSM and its members. So there are many ways to do this. One of the ways is through mentoring, which I know Hugh has probably can speak about mentoring, as he is also a mentor. The two people on the screen are one of them is based in Egypt and the other one's actually based in the UK. So our mentoring platform and our mentoring program actually crosses, it's international. So it's actually nice that you can interact with people from all around the world as part of the mentoring scheme. Is there anything you want to add on that, Hugh?
No, other than the fact that I think, mentoring gives us the opportunity to give back, both within the organisation to society as a whole. I had the privilege of meeting Kareem, who's the gentleman pictured on the left in Egypt, representing IIRSM earlier this year in February at the Egypt event, for which time we worked together, helping him build a stronger portfolio when it came to applying for his fellowship. And he's already been very strongly involved in the branch activities in Egypt. And as you said, it's a case of me paying it forward and now him paying it forward to other members there. So it is very much a team approach, and it does create a stronger community within IIRSM, I believe.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Over to you, Hugh. Hugh?
Sorry? For me, yes. Okay, I do apologise. No, I'm sorry. I'm miles away there. I'm just thinking about reminiscing about Egypt and Egypt's. So the good thing about IIRSM is, as Donna quite rightly said, one size doesn't fit all. And we recognise that risk management may be in manufacturing, it may be oil and gas, it may be in the healthcare centre, it may be in insurance, financial services. To accommodate this, a lot of work's been done within IIRSM to ensure that we accommodate the different routes that would suit the needs of our members to actually achieve fellowship. And route one, most simple route, is where you had membership or specialist membership status for a minimum of 3 years, supported by at least 5 years of relevant experience in their work environment at a senior level, where they've been able to make that strategic impact within the business. Now, a lot of us take for granted the job that we do is a managerial role, and I don't think we always recognise just how important we are strategically, particularly to SMEs, to smaller businesses, where we make such an impact in terms of decision making, in terms of how we manage the risks in the business. So don't let you put off. That's one route that many people do take. The second route is where people have a bachelor's degree with honours or a master's qualification at level 6 or professional qualification level 6, or they've been a chartered member or fellow of a recognised body, not necessarily just IIRSM. It could be somebody such as IOSH, it could be IRM, could be other Institute of Leadership and Management where they deal with risk, with supporting 5 years, again, experience working at senior level. But we realise that not everybody's actually got the door open to qualifications at such a strong level. And we recognise the fact that a lot of people may have made major contributions throughout their career. So Route 3 offers the chance where you have no actual risk-related qualification or professional membership, but you've actually been hands-on, boots on the ground, demonstrating relevant experience for a period of at least 9 years, consistently at a senior level. So we do really believe that this tries to offer as much opportunity to as broad a range of our members as possible to take advantage of this.
Yeah, definitely. I think it makes it a lot more inclusive as well, doesn't it? It means that, you know, if you have got that experience and you haven't necessarily got the qualification to kind of any form of qualification, it means we are still open to people applying for that most prestigious grade of membership as well, which I think makes us a lot more inclusive.
Yes, I mean, I think that's a really valid point, because the amount of members I've spoken to in the past, or different people I've tied up with in LinkedIn through IIRSM or otherwise, and I've seen the experience and some of the achievements they've got in their career, and I've said to them, "Well, haven't you thought about applying for fellowship?" "Well, I haven't got a degree." I said, "It doesn't matter. Look, there's more to life than a degree. In many respects, the fact you've actually been out there and proved yourself in itself more than merits the fact that you're actually worthy of this type of status within the International Institute of Risk and Safety Management." So please, feel free to apply, make your case, because we are, as you said, we are very diverse in terms of what skills we actually accept, and we respect the fact that risk is very broad, across a horizon of industries and environments. So don't let it put you off. If anything, encourage yourself to apply.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. This is some of the criteria that you will need to meet in order to apply for fellowship. So you will need to meet 5 technical competencies laid out in our competency framework document, but we'll cover that in more detail in a moment. 6 leadership competencies at strategic level. You must have up-to-date CPD, and you'll also need to send us the completed application form, a copy of your CV, 2 references, and we will supply you with the reference request letter and reference form. So we try to, again, make it as easy as possible for you, so you've actually got that letter to send off to your referees along with the form. So it's a nice formal letter that you can use. And then we also need copies of your certificates. So that's mainly all of the information that we need in order to assess your fellowship application form. So, as well as the application form, as I just mentioned, we supply lots of other supporting documents. This is just to help you with the application process. So the first one is the fellowship assessment guidelines. So this will help you judge whether you are eligible to apply. It'll assist you with completing the application, and it also gives details of the scores for each section of the application form. So I think that's quite an important point to remember, and it's quite an important document because each section of the application form is scored, but we'll cover that again in more detail later. As I said, we supply you with the reference request letter and the reference form. The other document that's quite important and quite useful is the competency framework. So that's what we've just touched on it slightly. So within that competency framework, it lists all of the strategic level competencies that we're looking for you to meet as part of your application form. But again, we'll cover that and we'll go into detail about what exactly is needed later. So how to complete the application form. So you can submit an application at any time. We get them all throughout the year, don't we, Hugh?
Yes.
They come through constantly. So any time at all, we will accept your application form. The fellowship application process usually takes typically 6 to 8 weeks, but it can be a bit longer during busy times of the year. The application form itself is made up of several mandatory sections, so it's all split into different sections. Before completing your application, just make sure that you've reviewed the competency framework and that you understand the strategic level competencies that we're looking for you to meet. And as I mentioned before, each section of the application form is scored. So again, it's worth making a note of the scoring for each section. So just looking at the first page, so the section 1 to 4, it asks for your personal details, including your membership number if you have one. All applications must be typed and use the application form provided. All sections and relevant supporting documents are mandatory. It will say section 11 isn't mandatory, but as Hugh will cover a bit later, it is worth putting something in that section because it does hold a score. If you're a current member, make sure that you include your membership number, and you must also ensure that you send in your references. Okay, so section 5 asks you to select which route you're applying through. Hugh's covered that earlier on. So again, you're just going to tick which of the routes that you're going to apply under. And then section 6 requires you to list your qualifications, your professional memberships. Most people have already got this information on their CV, so it's just a case of either copying it over, or I think some people just put on refer to CV. Is that correct, Hugh?
Yes, it's sometimes the case.
Yeah. Brilliant. And then section 7, this is the important section. It has the most points in terms of scoring for fellowship, and it's based on the statement of professional competence, as I said. So you will need to refer to the competencies laid out in the risk management and leadership competency framework. This underpins the essential competencies you need to manage risk at strategic level. So I'm going to hand over to Hugh now. So Hugh is going to go into more detail of what they're looking for as an assessor for this particular section.
Thanks, Donna. Now, I think in some respects, because we put the statement of professional competence as such an important part of everybody's application, we put it in section 7. There's a total of 64 marks available for the whole form, of which 22 are allocated in this section here. But please, please, please don't let that put you off. In total, we need 40 marks or more to be able to recommend you for fellowship. And I'll be quite honest with you, the way I approach it and the way I tell the people I mentor to approach it is section 7 for me is probably the most hard work, because you have to think about the different competencies, both technical and leadership competencies. So I tend to sit down and pick the ones that both best fit my relevance in terms of my role. And then I will actually look at how that applies to me at a strategic level and what I can share. So in terms of the technical competencies, things like organizational context, the role of risk management, strategic objectives, policy and procedures, I try to tie in what I've done in the past couple of years that I'm proud of, that I can share as good evidence, applying the STAR methodology, situation, task, achievement, attainment, result, so that we can actually put together a quite strong case for each of the elements that I'm going to say that I'm declaring myself technically competent under. One of the pitfalls here, we have 250 words to write. Sometimes people let themselves down because they don't sell themselves enough or give strong enough examples. We're not expecting you to be a rocket scientist by any means, but we know to be that where you are within your business, you obviously have you actually influence the organization. You've played a major part in risk management. We're asking you these things for a reason, for you to put your personal slant on it, so we can actually see that you understand and you've actually contributed at a strategic level. And likewise, when it comes to the leadership behaviors, obviously you know how to communicate, you know how to influence. The elements that you pick here gives you the opportunity to pick things that are relevant to your workplace and your role. And really, there should be things that you can be proud of. So it gives you the opportunity to feel good about writing about yourself and what you've achieved. As I said, there's actually 2 points per competence, which means there's 11, 5 under one category of technical, 6 under leadership. And it's up to you to try and make as strong a case as possible. Now, if you can make a really strong case here, you've got more than half the marks, or potentially half the marks you need to get through. And everything else is plain sailing when it comes to it, because it is personalized, but this is really the area where you need to think and make a case. And sometimes what happens, I'll be quite honest with you, and Donna and I were talking about this before the webinar, different people are applying for their fellowship say, can I just bounce this off you to see if it's touching the right notes? And we're happy. Obviously, we're not going to fill the application thing for you because it's yours, but we're happy to give you that guidance and say, look, yeah, you're right there, or I'd elaborate a little bit more here, a bit more about this. But the very good documents we've got there. And I also find as well, sometimes by actually sitting down with a blank piece of paper first, selecting what competence you feel, looking at what's been asked for against the actual strategic level, and putting 2 or 3 bullet points about where you actually achieve that and fulfill that. Not only does it make you feel good about yourself, but things start to flow. So once you've actually done, the first one's probably the hardest to fill in on the technical competence. But once you've actually filled that one in, you get into a pattern where you know what the expectation is and you know how you can apply it. So I think it's a good opportunity for you to not just feel good about yourself, but also to share some of those great achievements that you've made that make you stand out from the crowd. Now, we have to be fair, we have to be firm, we have to be impartial, not just to the fellows who are already fellows, but also to our members. So we do set the bar quite high in terms of expectations in the case you make. But again, very few people have very few people actually have problems once they've actually filled the first one in well, because they realise that to be what they're doing, and to actually having made that jump to make the actual application, most of them are well positioned to actually satisfy this. It's just actually getting it down in writing. Now, a lot of these forms are actually available electronically and they're filled in online, which makes it easier for you, which is why sometimes I think before I go to actually put things into the application, particularly on these competence areas, I'll sit down and make my notes first and try and structure my answer. But everything else following on from this is much, much easier, which is why I said sometimes if people are struggling to get their head around it, I'll leave this section 7 till after I've done the other sets of questions, because I think that makes you feel better about yourself and sometimes make you feel more prepared to actually go back to the storytelling in terms of your technical and leadership behaviour competencies.
Yeah. And I think, as we were saying, Hugh, it's just really about kind of shining the light on yourself, shining the light on what you've done, really giving those good examples of what you've done to meet those strategic competencies. Don't be shy, I think, is one of the things that we were kind of saying. Don't be shy about it. Really, you've got to remember that the assessors don't know you. So all they've got to go by is what you've written on that bit of paper. So I think it's just about getting as much information down as possible and making sure that those examples are relevant. And again, if you work in health and safety, don't just think about health and safety, think about maybe wider risk management as well. I was talking to somebody the other day about, we were talking about COVID, and they were doing their statement of professional competence, and I was saying, well, the things that you highlighted and the things that you recognised as part of COVID, think about how that affected the wider organisation, not just your department. And that's the kind of things that I think that we want to try and get through and get out of people as part of these competencies.
Donna, that's a great example there. And I don't know if I've not asked Raymond for the figures. Raymond is my go-to guy. He basically helps out with the memberships. And if there are any issues I need to discuss or concerns, I can usually share with Raymond. But I think since COVID, a lot of people there's been an upsurge, I think, in memberships applying for fellowship, people recognise. But I think sometimes people underplay or under-recognise the impact they've had in COVID in terms of risk management. And another area as well is welfare and well-being.
Yeah.
In the past few years in particular, there are areas, and I mean, if you think just back the past 2 or 3 years, how people's jobs have changed and how they've changed their shape within the organisation for these things, I think there's a couple of examples that people can actually use in terms of sharing how they've applied new technical competencies or actually expanded their skill set to actually accommodate the needs of COVID management and also the well-being and welfare of the workforce. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to write their own story in a much stronger context based on what the experience they've had the past few years.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. Oh, sorry, gone too far. We also provide you with some examples of how to write your statement of professional competence. I think Hugh touched on the STAR acronym. So there is examples there that you can just so that you can understand the kind of style that we're looking for. As you can see with the examples on the screen, it refers to I. So again, this is one of the things myself and Hugh were talking about is, really it is all about showcasing yourself. So when you're writing this statement, please write I did, I was, it all needs to be about you and what you've done. As much as we all work in a team and we know that we've worked as part of a team, for the purpose of the fellowship application form, it's really important that it's about what you've personally done and your personal contribution.
And I think that's a really good point. And again, in recent years, and particularly since COVID, a lot of people have decided to change career direction and change shape in terms of the job they're doing. And then people will continue to, I think there's going to be much more variety, and I think people will change their choices in careers, much more flexible than ever before. And it's surprising how many people actually said to me, well, I've applied for a new job. And recently I applied for my fellowship. And one of the things I did in terms of interview prep was went back to my technical and professional competencies, because if nothing else, it gave them talking points that they've already done the research, they've already invested time in recognizing the I contribution they made. And that's given really a stronger plinth for them when it's going towards the interview. And a lot of them actually said, well, it helped me in my interview experience. I think I came across stronger because I built that self-confidence about writing about myself and being able to sell myself that bit better. So,
Yeah.
So don't just let it, throw it on the shelf and let it gather dust. It may come into use later as well.
Brilliant. Lovely. So section the application form, it talks about how you've gone above and beyond, and basically we're looking for examples of what you've done outside of your paid employment to enhance the risk profession. So some of the examples that you can see on the screen is, have you mentored a friend or a colleague? Have you provided free consultancy? Have you volunteered for an organisation? I'm sure there's many more that you see as well, Hugh.
It's such a diverse range, Donnie. You're right. It's fantastic. And it's one of the good things about being part of the fellowship assessment team. It's how much you learn about your other fellow members and how much you learn to respect them from different walks of life, seeing what they contribute, not just in work, but outside of work. And again, this is the opportunity for people. Again, it goes back 5 years, which is great, outside paid employment above. And it makes you realise, it makes you proud to be a risk professional when you see just how much effort and other people put in for no personal gain to to try and help and support others, be it in the form of mentoring, be it free consultancy. For example, some of the stuff I did through COVID was helping out smaller businesses to try and deal with it. Or be it volunteering and fundraising for worthy causes out there, or helping others by giving time. And I mean, helping local schools, school governors, helping the risk management, building risk register for school. There's such a diverse range of things that people can throw in there. And again, one of the big pleasures is, wow, I didn't think somebody did that. You learn about different people and some of the things they apply themselves, and really it just shows the passion. And again, it's back to this no one size fits all. So don't be scared to write in there and get yourself some extra points. I believe there's 6 points in that section. I forget, I'm getting old now, Donna. And it's usually 2 points per case. Yeah, and so really, again, it's creative license for you to share the things that you're proud of, that you put time and effort in, whether it's supporting other members of the family or other members of the community. Don't be shy to put those examples in there and show just what a shining, really, nominee you are for the fellowship award.
Yeah, and I think it is that thing about, again, it is supporting colleagues, and sometimes we're providing support and we're going above and beyond without even realizing it, especially with colleagues. You might have supported somebody through, I don't know, a training course, or they might be doing a qualification, and you've provided that support to them in that method. It might be through the membership, could be, somebody wants to progress through the grades of membership, and you've supported them with that journey to make sure that they've got everything they need to be able to upgrade to a different level of membership. So it is just thinking about it. Sometimes it's things that we just take for granted, but in this instance, again, it's worth noting and worth mentioning as part of the application form. Okay. So you will need to also, as part of your application form, this will be for section 9, you need to provide us with evidence of your CPD activities. So we accept, there is a log, there's a CPD log within the application form, so you're quite welcome to record your CPD on that CPD log. Or alternatively, if you record CPD from another organisation and you can download that CPD, we'll accept that as well. If you're already a member of IIRSM and you use your CPD log in your My IIRSM, again, we can accept that. So any form of recording your CPD will be accepted as part of this application.
And I think the important thing here is to recognise that there's 2 points awarded for every year. You can go back for the last 5 years. So there's 10 points. We need 40 points. So there's 25% weighting on your points here that you need to achieve fellowship. Now, when we say CPD, if you're not doing it on an IIRSM online or anything, we're expecting more than 1 or 2 of just little examples that you've done. We want to see that's continuing. I mean, for example, if it's something like a NEBOSH environmental certificate or a risk management certificate, obviously that takes a lot of time, a year or whatever in terms of the time scale. But again, personalize it and make sure that you recognize and put it in for every year. There's nothing worse than when I've had to reject some of it because people have actually done the CPD, but they've not maintained the logs. So really, it's up to you, and it's good because I think as part of the modern risk professional and safety professional's journey, it's important that we know where we want to be today, next year, and perhaps in 5 years' time in terms of our personal development. So I think it's good to have the CPD there and have it documented so you can reflect on what you've done already and where you want to go in the future. So this is a good area where you can gain some good marks, but also allows a lot of self-reflection in terms of where you want to go going forward.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so section 10 of the application form, it requires you to demonstrate how you intend to promote IIRSM. So this could be through your workplace, in the form of corporate partnerships. This could be through connecting with your local branch. We've got lots of local branches, not just in the UK, but international branches as well. And it could just be as simple as promoting IIRSM to your contacts. so as a membership organisation, member contribution is at the heart of what we do. So this section can include some of the information that you'd included in previous section 8 as well. So about how you've gone above and beyond. Section 11 is your personal statement. I'll let Hugh talk about this one because I think it does carry a score of 5 points. So I think on the form it does say that it's not mandatory, but it does carry some points. So we do recommend that you complete it. But I'll let Hugh talk you through this section.
Well, as Donna said about section 10, about how you can continue to support for starters, I see it a bit like PDCA, a bit like the Deming cycle about completing it, you know, plan, do, check, act. And I think completing the application about how you can support, having done what your current CPD is, what you intend to do in the future, and how can you impact on IIRSM with that. Well, a big thing to me is Sentinel magazine. It's great where you get different risk professionals sharing information through across the year. A lot of people who come in, and a lot of the people we had applying to support us on the fellowship panel came from very diverse backgrounds. We're actually part of the interviews. We're saying to them, well, have you thought about writing an article about what you do for the Sentinel? So there's different things like publishing little articles about what you do in your work. You might want to run a mini seminar with some of the branches. There's lots of things you can do there. And so in terms of embedding that bit first, and then your personal statement. A lot of us have got different varied backgrounds, and we've been in this game for quite a while. And I like to close out on what I call a feel good factor. So I think part of section 11, if you don't sit down at the end of this application, which it is quite challenging to actually fill in, and it gives you the chance to let off steam as such and write the things that you're proud of what you achieve and what makes you stand out. I mean, we're all different, we're all unique in different ways. Don't be scared to share that. It gives you a chance, not just in terms of your personal achievements, but in terms of your beliefs, your values, and really what makes you tick as a risk professional. This personal statement allows you to get that down in black and white onto paper. And I mean, again, when it comes to an interview situation, it's always nice as a refresher to go there as interview preparation. But it does, ultimately, to me, it makes you feel good about what you've written about yourself, about your application. And I said it gives you a degree of positivity when you finish the application. A lot of people have said to me in the past when they've applied, both for IIRSM or other international and other institutes, you know, at the end of the application, I felt a little bit apprehensive. And I said, well, you shouldn't really. You should feel good about yourself because ultimately you recognise, or other people recognise that you're worthy of that application. How well you put the application together obviously depends on you and how well you reverse yourself and what planning and preparation you put into it. But I think with IIRSM, we try and be as fair as possible, as impartial as possible, and put the onus on our members saying the things about themselves that make them really feel that they are worthy of the status. So if you don't feel with a positive buzz at the end of this, you should do. So please make a stronger case about yourself. Finish the application with a smile. It doesn't have to be a full 500 words. It might be 2 or 3 paragraphs that just touch on things that make you stand out, whether it's in your workplace or whether it's about your passion for risk management and safety management. So put it down there and hopefully finish this piece with a smile on your face.
Yeah, and that extra, I mean, those points could be the difference between you getting the 40 and not getting the 40, really, couldn't it?
Donnie, you're right. That
so I think it's
times.
definitely worth.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's possibly worth mentioning. Sorry, yeah. And the actual application process itself, it's usually 3 fellows who actually assess independently the application. They'll have a look at it and they award their own marks to try and be as impartial as possible. And if you get 2-1 or 3-0, then usually you go forward, you'll be recommended if you were to exceed that 40 marks or more. If it's 2-1 the other way or 3-0 the other way, it will generally get referred to me and I will go through a mark awarding process. If there are clearly areas where the evidence is not strong we want it, we will actually contact you, usually through Raymond, being prescriptive about where we need extra evidence and why. So we don't just dismiss you and say, thank you, we've had your money, that's it, forget you. We try and support you through that process to try and fill those gaps and make it as painless and seamless as possible for you to reapply and cover the areas that weren't quite covered. Now, we do also recognise that English isn't always the first language of many of our members who we value. So if it does mean that it may be something lost in translation, if need be, I'll pick the phone up and actually talk through some examples with the people who've applied to try and make sure that we know that that level of competence is there. So it's not dismissive. We try and welcome as many fellow members as we can, and we try and support them in the membership process as fully as possible.
Thanks, Hugh. Okay, so we've touched on the references briefly. So again, just to reiterate, so you will need to provide 2 references on the reference form that's supplied. So your references should provide evidence of good character and professionalism, awareness of your personal and professional achievements, strategic professional knowledge, experience and influence as demonstrated in your application, and basically evidence of your recommendation for fellowship of IIRSM. So one reference should be from your current employer, manager, client, based on the last 3 years. The other ideally from a current IIRSM fellow or equivalent. If you don't know a IIRSM fellow, it can be kind of someone who is equally qualified to provide that reference, and each reference should be dated within the last 12 months. Anything to add on references here?
No, my friend, other than that, it's important if you can to get somebody who knows you, who can validate your work. It is an important part, obviously, because professional integrity is important. So I think, and again, the reference, when it comes to looking at the references as well, it asks you specific elements in the reference of good character, whether you're not actually confirming that you're actually worthy of the status. And I think this is, again, the part of the feel-good factor. When you realise that you've got peers or you've got other people who are actually achieved this path, certificate qualified, or you're your employee or a customer who recognises the contribution you make, to me, it's a further really a reflection of the fact that you are worthy and you should feel good about yourself in the application. So, I'd always pick my references wisely. Again, sometimes it's not always easy if you're a consultant. You need to pick somebody who's known you intimately enough through your work in the past few years. But I mean, if you're by picking the good references, there's 10 points up for grabs there as well. So it's more points in the bank towards actually achieving that 40+ mark.
Yeah. And then this brings us to the last section of the form. So this is your declaration to state that the information you provided is truthful and correct. So the form will need to be signed and dated before you send it back to us. I don't receive many that haven't been signed and dated, so I think most people can do that bit, so we're all right there. So once we've received your application, as we mentioned, it will be sent to the independent panel of assessors. I'll let you talk about the scores and everything, Hugh.
Thanks a lot, Donna. As I said, it's 40 points we're trying to target, but obviously, because you're established professionals, the more points you get, obviously, the stronger the case you have, and there is more of a less margin for error. So just putting your formal education and qualification in there, we can award you 4 points. As I said, section 7 is the one where we need to put a bit of thought and application into how we can achieve the strategic requirements of the technical and leadership elements that we've actually touched upon. But by making good workplace examples, you can score very highly there. Section 8, how you've gone above and beyond. There's actually 8 points there, 2 points per example. So please, if you can get the marks there, it's more points in the bag. CPD, we're looking for at least 4 years experience, but 5 years gets you the full 10 marks there. And if you have followed the scheme, then you should be able to get those marks without much effort, really. If you haven't, then it's a case of putting together some good examples of what CPD you've covered in the past few years and trying to ensure that you cover that as fully as possible. Now, contributing, supporting and promoting IIRSM in its work. There's 2 points there for everything you've done so far. Attending branch meetings, any papers you may publish, any articles, any work groups you maybe have been part of. And then 1 point for anything that you want to try and be involved in future. I mean, I could cover mentoring there, but the same elements as well, where you can win the marks. Your personal statement, there's 5 marks up for grabs there. Make yourself feel good. Finish on a positive if you can. I always believe in that. Similar with exams. I always went back to the last question, which I thought was a banker, something that I thought could actually answer well and made me feel good about finishing the exam. Whether I failed the exam or not, at least I finished on a high and felt good coming out of the room. And I'm sure many of the people here, many of the people going forward won't fail, because knowing the level of competence that members and also students, affiliates, all the people we've got within the IIRSM community, one big family. And I can assure you that not just myself, there's many people out there who want to see you be the best version of yourself when it comes to risk and safety management. And that's where your personal statement allows you to do that. And that's positively reinforced by the reference from an employer, from a customer, and also from a fellow member who has that standing to share that knowledge about you, about why you should be a member, your personal and professional achievements, just to validate that, and that you're a good character and you can influence above. So, as I said, finish on a high, getting as many marks as you can, and then it's a case over to the fellowship panel for us to assess, and it'll be as impartial as possible to ensure we give the marks fairly. And then you'll hear feedback, as Don was good to say, typically within 8 weeks. And everybody who I speak to who've been through the process, they come out of it. I mean, it's nothing better than me getting a little line on LinkedIn or a short email saying, "Yay, Simon Jones, IIRSM, I've done it." Just different people like that, and just different people proud about the achievement, because it is your achievement. It's just the fact we're validating it as part of the fellowship panel. So I'm wishing you all the very, very, very best of luck. And I hope, if nothing else, this encourages you to apply, because there are some budding fellows out there. And it's important, post-COVID in particular, the next generation of fellows come through and get the recognition they deserve for the hard efforts over the past few years.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So just a little bit about the fee. So you're required to pay a non-refundable application assessment fee, which is £95. So that needs to be paid before we send your application to the assessment panel. We will contact you to take payment over the phone, or we can send you a link to pay, or you can pay through the bank. So once your application is ready, you just let us know how you would like to pay. So if your application is successful and you're a current member, you will not pay the increased fellowship membership fee until you next renew. So we keep you on the same fee until your next renewal period. So if you don't renew until next April, you will not be charged the fellowship fee until April, which I think is quite reasonable.
It certainly is this day and age, and I think in that one respect, I'll be quite honest with you. I think of the fellowships I've got, I'm a number of institutes I'm a fellow. I think one of the most worthwhile, I'm not just saying it because I'm on here, the one I get probably most value out of is definitely IIRSM.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and so just to go through the process. So your application, once you've completed your application and paid your fee, your application will be reviewed by our membership team just to ensure it's been completed correctly. So we'll be in touch with you if we need any additional information. And as I said, once the payment's been received, we'll send it to the assessment panel for review. And the assessment panel will go through the application and the supporting documents, provided with the scores for each section, and let us know of the decision. I think Hugh, you touched on earlier, we don't kind of say, if somebody has been unsuccessful, it's not a case of where we will say to you, sorry, we've been unable to accept you, off you go. we will support you to enable you to get it right and get it to a point where it can be accepted. So we do give you feedback on the points that we might need some clarification on.
Yeah, very much so. Usually I will identify in a letter when we write back to you telling you where the areas where we need a little bit more evidence, and we offer you the chance to either call or I'll call you. I mean, I had calls as far afield as UAE, Africa, to discuss exactly what we needed and try and make sure we got the right evidence. And then after that, we reapply. And to be honest with you, it's usually happy ever after. You know, the successful applications, because with the framework we provide, we do actually set the bar quite high in terms of expectations for the actual process, which is why we don't need the face-to-face like other organisations may have.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we've pretty much covered everything in terms of the fellowship application process. So we're keen to kind of encourage people to be part of our membership team and part of our global community for risk management. So you can find more information about applying for fellowship, including a copy of the competency framework on the IIRSM website and the fellowship page on the IIRSM website. Alternatively, email myself, a member of the team, at fellowship@iirsm.org. So you know, we've got a team of people there willing to help. You know, we're happy to support and support you in any way that we can. Brilliant. Thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Hugh. We've got a load of questions coming up, so hope you're ready. Okay, so first question then is somebody's asking why so many organisations ask for a different qualification, if you like, and rarely for IIRSM. They're saying that they personally joined IIRSM as it's their opinion we're a more modernistic approach to overall risk than other organisations. So they just wanted a little bit of information about, are we actually working with industries to recognise IIRSM?
I firmly believe so. And I think you see that by the number of partners we have who support us and the number of the partners we have who actually sponsor some of the events we have. We work very closely. As I said, we are modern thinking, but we're also globally diverse as well. And I think because we're much smaller, we can be much more intimate with both our client base and also our customers, and also people we partner with.
Super, thank you, Hugh. Next question then is, can you recall if any healthcare qualifications have been accepted for membership stroke fellowship? And specifically, this person is asking about physiotherapy and or the Association of Chartered Physios in Occupational Health and Ergonomics.
Yes.
Suzanne might be able to answer that one, but yeah, I think the answer is yes, we do. You know, we do accept health qualifications. You know, it's not only risk or safety qualifications, we accept health qualifications as well as part of the membership. It just depends on what level the qualification is at, and the level will depict what level of membership the person can apply for. But yes, definitely we accept health qualifications.
Super. And similarly, would an engineering degree in either construction or civil engineering class as a risk-based degree? Very
much so. It's one of the most high-risk industries out there. A number of our established fellows actually come from and support this construction industry. Just off the top of my head, I'm going to say one of our partners, Ashview Consultants, who I've actually worked very close with, Paul O'Shea and his team, both in terms of developing them as members and as fellows. And that organisation works very closely as well with IIRSM, so yes, very strongly.
Thank you. So a couple of questions about sharing things like CVs and qualifications with us for assessment, and to give some advice over which route and requirements they would need to take. And a couple of people have asked this, you know, can they send examples to make sure that they're on the right lines in terms of their application?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Definitely. As I said, the team are there. There's Suzanne and her team are there to help and support people through the application process. And I think it is one of the things that's, it's something that I do on a regular basis, and probably the same with you, Hugh, is it is just nice to have that little bit of reassurance that you're on the right lines and you're on the right track with what you've written. So by all means, if you want to start to write that statement of professional competence and just get us just to quickly check it, send it into the fellowship email address, and the team will be quite happy to have a quick look at it for you.
That's right, Dan. And also the CV, because it's slightly different. Sometimes people put a different slant on their CV. You know, obviously, if they're applying for a job, they want to sell themselves on a broad perspective or a specific area. Whereas for us, we're really looking at what risk elements and safety elements are there. So sometimes people re-engineer or slightly snag it a little bit differently. So it may be worth bouncing off members of the team who are always very helpful.
Yeah,
and just really,
and I think,
sorry.
And I think one of the things that I find as well, Hugh, is, as part of, although people have got things written within their CV and they've got doubts about whether they meet the criteria, when you actually start talking to them, they've got it all. They've got
Yes.
it. It's just getting it down on paper. You've got all of the examples. Most people have got those examples that they can give for their statement of professional competence. That
Yes.
they've done it, and sometimes I think people have done it and they're not realizing that that's what they've actually covered. So it is just getting it kind of out of your head and onto paper in order for us to be able to assess it.
And this isn't really a question, but it's a statement that really backs up what you both have just said. And this is somebody who had spoken with Hugh, who found you, Hugh, extremely helpful, and it really cemented his decision to process his application coming up. And he said that he felt that it was fantastic, and it seemed that it was a very straightforward process, and he was certain that the support team would be on hand to help and advise where required. So that's somebody who's actually reached out, got the help and support, and is actually going to put in an application. So that really backs up what
best of luck. That's nice.
Brilliant.
Okay, other questions then. If you are a member already, do you need to send through your certificates again?
Only if you've got any recent certificates, you would send those through, but any previous certificates that you've sent us, they'll be on your membership record, so you don't necessarily have to send them again. But once you send your application through, if you just make a note that you've already got the certificates, the team can check to make sure that we do have them on the membership record. So yeah, that's fine.
Super, thank you. So this is somebody who's been in a senior role supporting and implementing health and safety. They have a NEBOSH diploma and is asking whether they would be suitable for applying for a fellowship.
Yeah.
Yes, quite a few NEBOSH diploma people and even certificate people with the right experience. My
Yeah.
friends, I do apologise. I'm going to have to jump onto another call if that's okay. But please feel free to share my email address. Because I'm more than happy to answer other questions if there's anybody, or if anyone wants to contact me directly out of here. So wishing everybody the very best of luck, apologising, but I got sprung on at 2 o'clock this morning I didn't know about. So all the very best of luck in everybody in the application. Ladies, once again, thank you for your tireless support with me. You always make it a pleasure, both through this media, but also with the ongoing support you provide. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Thanks for supporting today.
No problem at all. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Is there any more questions, Sue?
Yes. So somebody's asking whether the competency for the IIRSM competency framework, does that align with any other organisational competency framework that's out there?
It was developed independently for IIRSM, so it's our own competency framework. It covers employee, managerial and strategic level, and so it really focuses on kind of risk competencies, and so it covers but it's got criteria at each level, so that's it is just a IIRSM competency framework.
Okay, thank you. Next question is about people that have attended webinars with other HSE organisations, and are those are attendance at those webinars acceptable for the CPD even when there's no evidence in terms of certificate alongside? So can they put down that they've attended those webinars but without actually any evidence in terms of certificate, because the certificate isn't actually given?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things that I say for CPD is, as long as you can say what you did, why you did it, and what you got out of it, then I think really anything can be recorded as CPD, as long as as long as that activity is, you're feeling that you know is giving you that professional development, then by all means record it. And basically, you're going to say you as part of recording it, you're going to specify what you're going to do with it in the future. So again, that's you kind of confirming, but yes, I have learned that. I didn't get a certificate, but this is how I'm going to use it. So definitely any activity, as long as you can apply it in the future, can be recorded as CPD.
Okay, great. So again, this is another CPD question. This is somebody who isn't a IIRSM member yet. She wanted to know how much, so what sort of level of detail is there in the CPD log?
We can flip back to the, let me go back and see if we can find the slide for the CPD log. So our CPD log has just got a description of CPD activities started and completed. So again, oops, sorry, I think it's just, I would say if you write what you did, why you did it, how you're going to apply it in the future, so that will just form your description of your CPD activity.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is somebody who's been a member for a while, but hasn't actually updated their CPD log. So is it best to include the CPD that they've carried out over that intervening time, or start from this year? Is there a limit to how much CPD they should detail?
I think we're looking for, as part of the fellowship application process, I think we are looking for 3 years. You can go back up to 3 years for CPD activity. So again, I think if you're going to have, if any other organisation asks for a CPD log, they're going to want to see a continuous section of professional development, so that you're maintaining your skills over the period of the year. So I think it would be better to go back, if you can, go back and record those activities that you've done previously, and then you've got one continuous log that you will just keep updating going forward.
Okay, super. A couple of questions now about references. So somebody's asking, you know, if you're the boss or the business owner, who do you get an employer reference from?
It doesn't have to be an employer. I think we said it can be an employer, it could be a client. It doesn't necessarily have to be a specific an employee. It could be a client. It could be, I think one of the other reference was for somebody else who might be a fellow or equivalent. So you can use that as one of the reference, and the other one could be for client. It's basically just to confirm that what you've written as part of your application is accurate. So again, the person that you might feel is best suited to do that is the person that you can use for the reference.
Lovely, thank you. And leading on from that is a question about what equivalent persons would you actually accept, and from what other professional bodies? I
think somebody, I mean, we're looking at somebody, we're specifying that they should be at fellow level. So anybody who is at an equivalent level, maybe within another organisation. So it's just having that kind of pinnacle grade of membership from an alternative organisation would be fine.
Okay, super. So somebody is a chartered member of another organisation. Can they apply for a fellowship directly?
Yeah, that will cover under route 2. So yeah, definitely under route 2. What I generally find is people can actually apply under routes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3, because they've got the right amount of experience. So yeah, if you're a chartered member of another organisation, that covers the criteria under route 2.
Okay, super. This is somebody who's a professor of occupational health and safety asking whether they have to go through the entire process or all the procedures.
In terms of the application form? Yeah, we do need the complete application form. I think the thing I touched on it slightly, is that the assessors don't know you, so all they've got is that application form to go by, and because each section of the application is scored, you do have to complete it in full to enable you to get the maximum points to be able to be accepted as a fellow. So yes, all of the points do need to be included and completed.
Okay, just somebody that would like you just to clarify what the fellowship annual membership fee is.
No, that's a good question. Hang on.
I can just jump in on that, Donna.
It depends on where you are.
Yeah, so it does depend where you are, but if you're based in the UK, it is £168 annual fee, and there is a £95 application fee, which will apply for all.
Super, thank you, Suzanne. So this is another question about, so somebody's having CSP certification and is a chartered member of another organisation, has 17 years of experience in HSE, and would he be eligible for fellowship membership?
Yeah, under route 3. Yeah, so route 3 is 9 years experience, so yeah, definitely more than qualified. Probably could apply under route 2 as well. So yeah, definitely more than qualified to apply, but yeah, definitely we would welcome an application.
Super. Somebody's thanking you for the great presentation, and they said that they noticed that 2 competencies were combined under the one heading in the example statement. So what's the optimum number of competencies that can be covered under the one heading? Is it preferable to separate out each competency under the individual headings, or to group them together? So
I think because of the scoring, I like to recommend that people cover so I think it's 5 technical and 6 leadership competencies. I would recommend that you cover 5 leadership and 6 technical, just so that if you miss points in one section, you might pick them up in another. So I think it's better to cover it in more detail rather than in less. But yes, what you will find is as you're writing those competence, that statement of professional competence, you will find that you're covering more than one competence as you're writing, which is absolutely fine. But I think the more the better, just to guarantee that you can get those maximum points.
Right, thank you. And just a final question is, can you just tell us what the maximum score is and what the score is to get the fellowship, just to refresh people's memories?
We'll go to that slide. So I think you mentioned that the maximum score, you have to forgive my maths, I think it was 80 something points, but the minimum score that you need to get is 40 points. So the scoring section is in the fellowship assessment guidance document, so you can actually see this matrix. It's available online, so if you go to the fellowship page, it's at the bottom with the documents that you can download. So the minimum points is 40. So I think that's why I would recommend just put as much information in as possible. It's better to have too much than too little, and at least that way you guarantee and you're giving yourself the best chance to score as many points as possible.
And also to reach out for advice and support if people need it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Suzanne and their team will be more than happy to help.
That's great. Well, we've got no more questions to cover this afternoon, so thank you ever so much,
No
Donna, you and Suzanne, for giving up your time this afternoon to go through the process. Thanks to everybody that's joined us as well today. The recording will be on the IIRSM Resource Hub and the YouTube channel probably tomorrow, so you'll be able to catch up and recap on anything you need to in your own time. Don't forget to reach out if you want that support and advice. We are here to take you through the process. So I think we'll end the webinar here. I hope you all have a really good rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. Thanks ever so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sue.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.